In this video, I will be attempting a Guitar Hero challenge that will cause anger, fear, confusion, elation, and possibly love. Only the best of the best Guitar Hero players will even dare to attempt a challenge like this. And today, I hope to join the successful ranks. Luckily, I am extremely good and will beat this challenge in only one single day. I just enjoyed changing my clothes, hair, and setup constantly. Don't worry about that. There is not a single song that can defeat me that I should be afraid of. All jokes aside, we all remember Guitar Hero and Rock Band as the rhythm games that took over for a stretch from 2005 to 2010 and featured a plethora of iconic and challenging songs spread out between the 18 games that were released in that time frame. Yes, you heard that correctly. If you somehow missed this era, they are a series of games where you play along to music on a variety of instruments, but guitar was first and the most iconic. I personally started playing on Guitar Hero 3 in either 2007 or 2008. My parents tried to convince me to wait for Rock Band since it had a full band, but I was young and could not wait 1 month. Plus, the design of Guitar Hero 3 was incredible. So that was the game I worked my way up from easy to expert on guitar, slowly, with many speed bumps along the way. I vividly remember running to tell my mom that once you beat all the songs in the first set list, there was a cool encore, and that it was Kiss, one of my favorites at the time. I also remember feeling like I would never be able to beat the 4 songs on expert on the prison set list. Holiday in Cambodia, Rock You Like a Hurricane, Same Old Song and Dance, and Lagrange. Little did I know what awaited me later on in that game. I eventually conquered every song in that game, and then after adding Rock Band 2 to my collection, my love for the genre was sealed. I played most games from then on around the time they came out, and Guitar Hero 3 prepared me well enough that I was able to beat every on-disc song with mostly no struggles. I played on Wii and was a child, so DLC was not ever an option for me. For most games, this is where I stopped, just being able to beat every song. Some games I would go for 5 stars on every song, but for some reason I never felt the urge to sit in practice mode and master a song. But that's where this challenge comes in. After figuring out how to play all the games on my PC, I decided to go back and play through every game, including a few for the first time, for some nostalgia and to see how they evolved and hold up today. During this playthrough, as a fun challenge for myself, I was keeping track of if I could get at least one FC in every game. And don't you even worry, I absolutely succeeded. FC is short for full combo, which essentially means playing the song perfectly, hitting 100% of the notes as well as never overstrumming. This keeps the note combo going for an entire song, hence the name. I always thought it would be really cool to perfect the game and have a full game FC, but due to most games having at least one song that at this point would take me years to complete, I wasn't sure how doable this would be. But I was determined to give it a shot. In this video, I will be attempting to full game FC one of these rhythm games that I love. Now I just had to decide which game to pick. Only 3 stood out to me that I felt were doable without aging me 53 years. Beatles Rock Band, Lego Rock Band, and Band Hero. I actually didn't think the Beatles would be that challenging, but I didn't feel like only playing Beatles songs and wanted a variety. Maybe I'll work on slowly completing that game. Lego Rock Band was very intriguing, but honestly, I was scared off solely because of Final Countdown. That leaves Band Hero as the choice for this challenge, which I was actually very happy with for a variety of reasons. Quick summary, since Band Hero is not one of the most popular games, due to being released in a year in which 4.5 other Guitar Hero games and 2.5 other Rock Band games came out. The halves are for DJ Hero and Rock Band Blitz, which are slightly different, I feel like. Band Hero was supposed to be a family-friendly version of Guitar Hero, so the setlist is much softer and has much stricter censoring, like Whiskey and American Pie. It featured likenesses of Adam Levine, good evening, the entire band of No Doubt, and of course, country Taylor Swift. As a kid, I didn't really enjoy the game because I was too cool for the music and it wasn't difficult enough for me. But when I was replaying the games, I actually really enjoyed most of the songs in this game. Plus it has an easy method of tracking FCs by giving you 6 gold stars. As it had been a couple months since I originally replayed through this game, I didn't remember any particular song being hard enough that I was worried about struggling on for a while. Spoiler alert, but I may have been very wrong about that. I was eager to start my journey, but I wasn't ready for the roller coaster of emotions, the many technical problems, and the pressure of potentially giving up and becoming a failure. There are 65 songs in this game, and you can see that we started with having 16 completed from our original playthrough. During some downtimes, I did re-record all these to get footage. The songs completed were A Million Ways, Bring Me to Life, Believe, which is an absolute banger, by the way, Lips of an Angel, Our Lips Are Sealed, Les Artistes, hope I'm saying that right, Wannabe, Take What You Take, Whip It, Pictures of You, Steal My Kisses, Love Story, Mr. Roboto, Put Your Records On, Warwick Avenue, and You Belong With Me. Most of these songs are simple, but I was surprised and impressed with myself that I didn't originally panic and miss the solo in Believe. And that I hit this part in Mr. Roboto that is repeated a few times. You may also have noticed that American Pie had 5 gold stars and not 6. This is because I overstrummed and broke the combo but still hit 100% of the notes. This does not count and will, unfortunately for me, come up later as well. A few last housekeeping notes before we really get into the good stuff. This game is obviously full of copyrighted music, so I'll be limited in the ways I can use the audio. As you can tell by my outfits, this was recorded over many days, and on some days my camera, computer, or guitar would just decide not to cooperate. So in this video, my camera will randomly pretend it's the first camera ever made and record in about 80p. More about the other tech issues later. A few game-specific notes in case you don't know. Gesticulation is the random band name that I accepted. I honestly don't even know what it means, but that's why you may see it randomly in places. Each song in the career mode has a special challenge, and so for songs that have one for guitar, there will be this extra star wheel, and they may have special highlighted sections, but nothing changes about the gameplay. And in case you've never played or need some help with the lingo I will use, these notes you have to hold the buttons and strum at the same time. These are hammer-ons and pull-offs, or hopos, and you don't need to strum as long as you hit the note before. And these are tap notes, which essentially function the same as hopos. There will be a link in the description to an unlisted video with a full playthrough of every song I was able to complete if you want to watch a song in its entirety. I figured my best course of action to start out was to play through every song and take notes that would help me in the future, or to mark songs that I thought would be extra challenging. Just reminders on where challenging parts were in songs I didn't know as well, or things like strumming versus using the hopos. I'll share any interesting ones like Long AF during the song breakdowns. This is also where I kept track of my attempts, so you will see me checking this a lot. My strategy to avoid getting frustrated and replaying the same songs over and over was to go back and forth between the harder and easier songs. I would give a song maybe 2 or 3 attempts and then switch it up to another. This may have prolonged the challenge, but it helped me feel like I wasn't stuck. Happy Together was immediately done with no issues, which I will call 2 attempts because of the original playthrough months ago. Like Whoa was pretty much my warm-up song every time I got onto the game, because it's another fire song and it has this faster strumming part that's fun to play. I could go into practice and nail this every time, but it took me 4 attempts to officially knock this one out. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me gave me a few problems as I wasn't really taking it seriously. I somehow managed to miss twice on the exact same note by just overstrumming. I already felt like giving up. But it was also completed after 4 attempts. The entire time playing Rockstar, I was nervous because it was just weird enough that I didn't want to have to do it again. And luckily, I was able to do it on try number 2. Heard It Through the Grapevine was one of the first I was worried about. It has this weird hopo chord section a couple times in the song that I found best to just strum through. But the outro tapping section is what I struggled with most and had to go into practice for. I tried a few methods, but annoyingly, the only way I found continued success was to just absolutely spam the yellow button as fast as I could. It's not clean, it's not pretty, and it's not my proudest moment, but it allowed me to cross one I was afraid of off the list after only 4 attempts. I followed that up by knocking out another super easy one in ABC in one more try. I honestly have no idea how I missed in my original playthrough. I guess I was just terrible. So Yesterday by Hilary Duff is a blast from the past, and after a weird miss that I honestly can't see what I did wrong, I was able to get the FC on the 3rd attempt. I was miraculously able to get Love is a Battlefield on my first new attempt. I didn't remember anything in particular about this song, but when I went back to re-record after audio issues, I was very surprised at how many difficult little things and sections there were. My notes for this song were bang, scary. A few times thought I may have overstrummed in solo late. I am very glad I got this first attempt because I feel like otherwise this could have easily been 10 plus. I was slightly worried about Dirty Little Secret, only because one of my weaknesses in Guitar Hero is long periods of strumming. For some reason, I lose the rhythm unless I really focus, but if I focus too hard, I also lose the rhythm or forget about the fingering. Great combo there, huh? Well, as my notes say, I just did it and knocked it out on attempt number 2. Thanks, Nike. She Will Be Loved is another one that I immediately knocked out and have no idea how I missed originally. I must have just been so excited to be playing with Adam. Now we're to the point where I'm dealing with another issue. I'm not sure how noticeable it will be, but while FCing Let's Dance on the second try, the FPS was very choppy and actually hurting my eyes as I was playing. I hit the solo at the end this time to mark it off the list, but this was one of the random days where my computer didn't want to function properly. Most days it was fine, and others it would be terrible unless I changed 15 settings and kept my room the perfect temperature. I cut my losses and came back another day and got Take Back the City on the first attempt. I had no idea what this song was, and there's nothing difficult about it, but it is another fantastic tune. I'm trying to only shout out a few songs, but thank you Adult Me for actually enjoying most of these songs now. American Pie is going to be a sort of checkpoint in this challenge and my routine. Don McLean's classic is the quote-unquote final song in this game. As a kid, I was extremely disappointed because it obviously does not stand up to Through the Fire and Flames, Freebird, Satch Boogie, or any of the predecessors. But it is a long song with plenty of things to trip up on. After missing pretty deep into the song, I decided it would be a good idea to write down how many notes were in the song so I could know when I was getting close to the end. This became my strategy to write the note count on every song after my initial attempt. I think this ended up being a good thing, but it has the side effect of causing me to panic anytime I'm doing relatively well. American Pie was the first time I really felt the pressure. Not sure how noticeable it will be in the video, but I would usually get super flushed, hot, and I felt like a million gorgeous supermodels were just staring at me. Later on, I even have my watch tell me that my heart rate rises on a difficult run. In the moment, I hated this feeling, but I did become more accustomed to it, and overcoming the pressure was very fun and led to extra joy when successful. Maybe the Cowboys or Jazz could give me that same joy someday. Despite the nervousness and feeling like I was close to missing, I hit the 1,427 consecutive notes and FC'd American Pie on only my third attempt. I apologize for the long explanation on a song that only took 3 tries, but now you know what is going on in my brain anytime you see a high note streak. I wanted to knock out another easy one, but Oh Pretty Woman gave me some difficulties. Mostly due to not being quick enough on this red hammer-on, I assume, because once I just strummed it, I was able to get it on attempt number 5. After reminding myself there were a couple small solos after the second chorus to not forget, I was able to quickly knock out Santa Monica on attempt number 3. Hey, quick, what movie does this remind you of? There's only one correct answer. You know, I really enjoy that one of my notes on this song to future me to inspire confidence was, just hit the notes. Nothing felt bad. I did have a potentially helpful one by saying not to use my pinky on the solo, which looks like I just ignored, because pinkies should never be forgotten about. By the way, can we talk about how late I hit this yellow note? Thank you, game, for giving it to me. So, shout out to Shrek. Bad Reputation was done on attempt number 4 and became my third FC of the day, which left me feeling successful. At this point, my brand new Crkd Guitar arrived and I was excited to give it a try. It worked fantastic for a few days and I was able to make some progress, but then it randomly started having connection issues and I had to eventually send it back and get a replacement. The Crkd team was great in helping me through the troubleshooting and giving me a replacement, so shout out to them. By the way, the guitar I've been using is aging as well and doesn't always work great. 90% of the time it is perfect, but on some days, the blue button especially is very finicky and doesn't always work. This obviously leads to some misses that don't feel earned and makes this even tougher. So the only thing that compounds my struggles with strumming are songs that are charted like this, single notes followed by chords. Quick summary on how this game and to a certain extent real guitars are played. As long as it's a single note, you can hold down any fret that is lower or to the left of the one being played. This is called anchoring and is used to make certain quicker patterns easier to play. This does not work in the other direction, however, and for songs like The Impression that I get, these sections require pretty precise timing from my fingers to quickly hit the blue or orange chord and let go fast enough for the next solo note, all while keeping my strumming tempo. Again, this is one of my weak points, so I was assuming this would take a while. But luckily for me, only the first 2 verses are charted this way, and then the rest is relatively simple. It only took 4 attempts to knock out my first on the final stage set list. And as of this point, we have officially passed the halfway mark of songs completed with ease. But remember, I have been working and failing on other songs in between the successes and just racking up the attempt counter, so I knew this wasn't really the halfway point. Up next comes Hang Me Up to Dry. Boy, oh boy. This is the first song listed in career mode, so it should be easy, right? Well, in hindsight, it really isn't anything too challenging, but that didn't stop me from failing many times for no reason and having to stop and contemplate life while getting booed off stage. The strumming sections tripped me up a few times, but mainly it was this section, usually the second one near the end of the song, with a couple quick triplet strums followed by a slightly slower triplet. I guess my brain just could not comprehend it. And then of course I mess up on the strumming, but decide to play through and finally hit the triplets. I finally got the FC on attempt number 13. That's right, the first double digit we have faced, and not on a song I was expecting to struggle on. Next up, we have another fantastic song, If You Could Only See. This main verse part was tricky for me to handle, and since it is repeated throughout the song, I was expecting this to be a little difficult. I was again having the debate between using the hopo note, but I found more success in just strumming consistently through it. But after the first verse, the guitar charted is this much simpler little solo thing, which you can even see my surprised reaction to. After getting through the first part, it was smooth sailing and I was able to get the song done in 10 tries. At this point, I figured I could get Every Rose Has Its Thorn with just a little focus on the solo. I was surprised and tripped up at this hammer-on section, but a few attempts in practice at the tricky solo and I was able to check this Poison classic off the list. 5 attempts. The Rolling Stones have been featured in many of these games, and this game is no exception with Honky Tonk Woman. This song is a little funky with a lot of little guitar licks and solos that break up the normal rhythm. This extra blue button gave me some issues, and the solo caused a few misses. I had a miss and just played through and ended up with a -1. I played again and my hand just literally stopped working. That just happens sometimes, trust me. I gave the solo another run in practice and then was able to put it all together on attempt number 7. Back Again has a pretty annoying section at the end of the song. It really isn't as bad as it looks because you just keep the same strumming rhythm and almost just ignore the hopos. But I say that like I didn't choke 3 times after 550 notes. Some before, during, and after the part I was worried about. On attempt number 8, I finally got the FC and had to show my guitar some love. I apparently don't have much to say about When I'm Gone. It took me a few tries to get used to the seemingly random hammer-ons everywhere, but it only took 5 attempts and my notes aren't very in-depth, just reminding myself to lift my fingers on a chord to solo note. But this is maybe a good time to explain my sort of weird way I counted attempts. Unlike the normal way most people do it when any miss counts as an attempt, I only counted an attempt once I was a decent way into the song. There's really not a way to explain this other than it's based on feel, but don't worry, I didn't just go through half the song and then say, oh, that's not an attempt. It was basically a way to eliminate dumb misses in the first few notes. The Adventure is a song that I have no familiarity with, so I wasn't in a rush to play it and knew nothing about it. But my first playthrough was going fantastic. I was just playing through, but after about 600 or 700 notes, I started feeling the pressure. I got through to what turns out is the outro, and got through 1,133 notes perfectly before missing, because I felt like the song was going on forever. This was the long AF note that I mentioned earlier. Oh, by the way, there's only 1,220 notes in the song, so I was under 100 away from completion. This was the first time I really felt like I choked because it wasn't a hard section, it was just a miss due to fatigue. I was able to keep it together the next playthrough, however, and get it done in 3 tries. Okay, now I challenge you to listen to the beginning of this song and tell me it's not going to be incredible. Ocean Avenue is another song in this game that I just love. It is mainly a strumming song, so I had to find the right rhythm and try not to headbang along to the song. It also sneaks in a hopo solo and a little tap note solo in the outro. I figured out it was better to use the hopos instead of trying to strum everything, which made it easier. You can see I was ready for the 800 notes to pop up as I got this on my 5th attempt. I followed Ocean up with another song that is almost all strumming, Fall Out Boy's Sugar We're Going Down. I had to remember about these few quick triplet strums after the first chorus, and I left a note saying that strumming the hopos at the end just felt better. A few hiccups along the way, but I just kept getting more and more comfortable with consistent strumming and knocked it out in 5. Now, there is no doubt about what band comes next. I'm sorry, I apologize. When I played Don't Speak for the first time, it was at the end of a frustrating day full of misses and no progress, and the tempo of the song was just not connecting with me. So I just gave up and called it a day. My notes just say slow, fast strumming, so IDK. So I was preparing for another long struggle full of rage and chokes late in the song. Oh, wait, what's that? I did it the next try? Really? Well, alrighty then, forget what I said. After that success, I knew it was a guarantee that I was immediately going to finally get the other No Doubt song I had been struggling on. The better one, I might add. I don't know if that's a hot take or not. But... So I jumped right into Just a Girl with the most confidence I have ever had and was fired on all Oh, I choked again. So I wasn't able to go back-to-back No Doubt on that day. As I was going through my footage, I was actually very surprised to see that I did end up getting Just a Girl next. There were just a couple days between the FCs. I really enjoy this song, so I've been playing a lot and was slowly getting better at it. I had a few misses in the middle part of the song, and they eventually came later and later. This was a song where I choked a few times 850 notes deep into the 879 that I needed. During my struggles, I found it easier to use these hopos in the chorus to not be constantly strumming. On attempt 17, I finally put it all together, didn't choke the outro, and added another FC to the list. Now, there are a few songs in this game that I am borderline embarrassed on how many attempts it took. Only because there's nothing really in the song that makes it difficult compared to others, but you have a couple weird misses and then the attempt counter goes up and then you're like, why am I on attempt 10 of Jesse McCartney's Beautiful Soul? Oh well, I guess I'll just do it here, and then you miss again and you question if your guitar and game are working, and then you have a debate in your mind about whether you should even go through this challenge, because if people know how long it took you to get Beautiful Soul, you'll get laughed at. All jokes aside, this really should have been like 5 attempts at most. This bridge section gave me some issues, but I mean, look at it, it's not that hard. But luckily for me, I decided to spread my misses around every part of the song. The amount of pressure and eventual joy as I watched the note counter creep closer to 655 is indescribable. Attempt number 15 turned out to be the magic number here. Obviously not a huge number, but I had to listen to the song many more times than I would have liked. Fast strumming songs are hard enough when they have a constant rhythm, but fast strumming with a completely random rhythm is an absolute disaster for me. Add in some tough, quick finger changes and you have me regretting my life choices. Black Horse and the Cherry Tree is next up. Woohoo! It took a while to even consistently get a note streak around 200, then 300, and so on. I had a miss where my hand just missed the strum bar. I had a miss where my hand just forgot to strum. I had a miss almost 400 notes in where it looks like I was late to hit red. And I ended up playing through and got a -1. Luckily, I was totally able to keep my composure the entire time and just get closer to the 632 note mark. Attempt 21 ended up being the magic number and my reaction tells it all. After that, I knew I could get another weird strumming song, but one with much more normal patterns, Walking on Sunshine. On an early playthrough, I was actually through half the song perfect already and had one of my worst misses where you can see me just strum up for no reason during the simplest part of the song. That felt pretty bad and only got slightly better once I missed later in the song. The first half of this song is pretty consistent and tough, but the second half is filled with all these highlights that actually act as a break for my hand since they are pretty simple. The real breakthrough for me was treating this as 2 triplets instead of 6 consecutive notes. I'm very comfortable with triplet strumming, so that just made more sense in my mind. I had a very unfortunate choke 700 notes in when my hand just missed the strum bar. I didn't know if I could recover from that, but I actually did mostly keep my composure and got it done in 9 tries. In a Big Country is another hidden gem that I never knew the name of until replaying this game, but it is a classic. The highlighted section was usually not a huge issue for me, but there were some days it was just not connecting and I would just have to move on. But these little chord breakdowns were the absolute death of me. I wasn't too bad with the spaced out chords thanks to Before I Forget in Guitar Hero 3, but on the rest it was literally like I have never played before. Every single time I had to focus so hard and tell my fingers exactly what to do instead of it coming naturally. It was honestly very strange and not something I am used to. A few misses even made me attempt to actually relatively decent success playing with my eyes closed or playing while backwards. On one attempt I was doing so incredibly well the game couldn't even handle it. Now, this song has 895 notes, so pay attention to how close I was on this attempt. Oh man, so close. Oh well, at least I'll get an extra... Oof. 20 notes from Immortality. Attempt 22 ended up being the one that I didn't choke on. My emulator was at least nice enough to crash on Angels of the Silences on an early playthrough where I was just getting the feel of the song. You know, sometimes you just want to get booed just to feel something again. There's not too much different about this song, but it has another section near the end like Back Again where you almost just ignore the extra hammer-on notes. On my 9th attempt, I got to the end of the song and knew I had to lock in and hit the super hard outro to avoid the biggest choke of all time. Thank you for your applause. The chorus to Kids goes super hard. The rest of the song is alright, but maybe I'm just jaded. This is a song where the attempt counter would be in the triple digits if I counted every reset. There are 1,214 notes in this song, and this pattern makes up most of it. It would usually take me a couple tries to get the rhythm, and between 60 to 70 notes is when I would start counting it as an attempt. Since I enjoyed this song, it was one of the harder ones that I was playing an awful lot. I had two dilemmas, single versus alternate strumming, and whether or not to use the hammer-ons. The final run ended up being mostly down strumming and using the hopos. Now, this song caused some pain. First of all, I love lag in an offline solo player game. That's really cool, dude. I created a decent little remix while wallowing in a mistake. I even had to leave the room and contemplate moving to Andorra. Okay, so this song has a built-in point where the pressure builds up for me. There's a short break at 692 notes, and then one more chorus run, which is free, and gets me up to 833. Then the same pattern from throughout the song is repeated as Robbie Williams is singing, and should be pretty simple since I've already done it many times, but there were just many choked attempts here. I'm blaming the pressure because some of my misses were again like I have never played before, and my fingers were just mashing whatever buttons they felt like. I was ecstatic to finish this one on attempt number 32. I even remember thinking later in the day after I was done, yo, I got kids done, I can do this. Let's go! Rio has a couple saxophone solos that I missed a few times, but really aren't that bad. The main problem was this. This required a good amount of practice, but in-game reps are tougher because I have to sit through around 3 minutes of not much action and then get locked in for that strumming section. I had a lot of very weird misses in this song that even looking at now in slow motion, I'm not entirely sure what went wrong. I did have this attempt pretty early on where I was perfect through 90% of the strumming and missed solely because of the plankton meme where I was not expecting to get this far.
I choked because I didn't expect to do it. Oh, man.
I finally got through the strumming and was home free until I choked on the outro sax solo on another miss that must have been off by the smallest margin because I hit yellow. I needed to just take a moment to understand what had just happened. Luckily, I never choked in the outro again and got Rio done on attempt 19. Now we have another song that essentially comes down to one quick strumming section. Turn off the light. Nelly Furtado, I need to apologize because I was not familiar with your game. This song is mostly simple, but has a few weird parts in the first half. The little solo before the strumming is where it starts to get tougher. Then I have to focus on hitting the strumming while not over strumming, which can easily happen here. And then the outro solo gave me a few problems. In practice, I never struggled with it, but in game, I just had to choke here a few times. I had a disappointing early strum, but felt okay after missing later on in the song anyways. I had my finger press the wrong button. And I had another brief moment of depression after a minuscule amount of style. Before getting it all together on attempt 17. Hands Down is another song with a focus on consistent strumming. My usual miss here was this quick blue on and off. I had to strum the hopos in the chorus, otherwise they were usually misses. I'm assuming all these weird misses were all overstrummed, since that makes the most sense. The outro to this song is actually pretty free for me, so this miss right before the outro might as well count as a choke. 15 was the magic number here. And now another strumming song with a bunch of quick chords thrown in there. I was fully expecting Kung Fu Fighting to take years and marked it off as one to look out for. On this song, I just ignored the hopos and strummed everything. This is similar to Walking on Sunshine, where the whistling is charted, and that gives me a break and makes the second half of this song much easier. There are 902 notes in this song, and on my 8th playthrough I was fully expecting a miss at some point once I reached about 650 notes, since I was used to choking on everything. But yeah, I surprised myself too. I wrote down that I definitely felt like I overstrummed during the FC, but I can't figure out at what point I'm talking about. It was at this point all my other failures finally came to a head, and I realized I was not close and never would be to completing this. I left and started a new life in Orlando, never to touch a guitar controller again. Until I got back from vacation, because we're doing this challenge, baby! I also switched my setup when I got back, so new camera angles, yay! Now, remember my joke at the beginning of the video that made it seem like YMCA is a joke of a song? And now remember how I haven't mentioned anything about it yet? Yeah, so surprise, surprise, this song is actually a bit of a beast, and it is all due to this single yellow note. YMCA only has 509 notes, but what makes it difficult is this pattern that is repeated 9 times in the song. This was a section that just came and went with the day. I could usually go into practice and have no issues, but the song itself was another issue. My personal issue was usually playing too quickly because I usually speed up when I'm nervous. I tried tapping to see if that felt better, but it did not. I got mad at my pinky and told it to wake up. I questioned what my hand was doing. And I dealt with a few more emulator issues. I found that if I strummed the first 3 notes of this string, then it didn't give me any issues, so it was just the tap sections to worry about. I had a couple very late, very heartbreaking chokes. Before the stars finally all aligned, and I dealt with my boiling blood pressure and got it on attempt 12. A low number, yes, but there was a ton of practice, and I didn't count it as an attempt unless I got through the first tap section at the beginning of the song. Ten songs remaining, so it is time to lock in. The main verse in Gasoline was confusing at first, but once I just treated the sustains as single notes, it came together quickly. Then the solo after the chorus is the next checkpoint. Nothing too crazy, I just had to time the strums and hopos correctly. I had some pretty laughable misses in this song that again made me question if my brain is connected to my body. Like missing the very first note in the song. I had one choke late in the song, but like I said earlier, I was expecting to not get songs the first time I get near the end, so I just shrugged it off. The 27th attempt is when we got the FC.
Like gasoline, like gasoline, like gasoline.
Most of Black Cat is extremely simple, but I think it has the hardest solo in the game and one that probably took me hours to get down. My first playthrough, I was annoyed that I missed on the easier part of the solo and then quickly realized I was in for a tough time. From then on, basically every day I would turn the game on, I would immediately go into practice and work on this solo. My success while playing one-handed was very rare, so I tried the forbidden technique of tapping. I have seen people better than me on YouTube play this way and know that's the method to playing the much harder songs, but I have never felt comfortable doing it. But I did quickly realize that this was the much better method, and getting 100% in practice gave me proof of concept that it could be done.
Okay, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Now, it was time to take it into career mode, and missed during the easy part. I had a few misses in the solo before the tapping, and I had this overstrum where, to me, it does not look like I hit the strum button, but okay, dude. Then I had another mystery overstrum in the middle of the solo. Unfortunately, my camera and chair were positioned to where I can't see if I actually hit the strum button, but my reaction certainly says that I didn't. And spoiler alert, if you've been paying attention, you'll see that I hit the rest of the solo. And the rest of the song perfectly, giving me 100% and 5 gold stars. Yay! But again, this does not count and was very frustrating. I jumped back in and missed during the first part of the solo again, but hit the tougher second half. I also ended up tapping the 2 orange notes right after because it felt better. I was just more annoyed here rather than frustrated, but on attempt 12, I finally got through the solo and gave a little celebration fist bump. There's no way I choke after this point, right? Right? Yeah, no, I finished out the song and added the extra gold star that I should have earned earlier. So I'm gonna be honest here, Paralyzer should have been done like weeks ago at this point. The entire source of frustration on this song is verse 1 with these quick hammer-ons between the chords. Early on I thought this was during the whole song, but it is only at the beginning and is repeated 6 times. And it honestly connected with my brain and felt comfortable every time. The problem comes with, for some reason, I could usually only hit it at most 5 out of 6 times. And because it felt comfortable, I would get annoyed with myself that I wasn't doing it and only try a couple attempts before moving to another song. I mean, I could literally hit it without looking. I finally got past it and then missed when I forgot to strum as I was trying to activate star power. Luckily, this is when I realized the rest of the song is charted differently and gave me some hope. Thankfully, there were no late game chokes and this song got done on attempt 17, giving me some relief, but still had me asking why was that so hard. Nothing in Fascination looks challenging, but this is a song where the feel never felt right. Especially on these long strings of green and yellow strumming, which is where most of my misses came from. This was unfortunately another song where I dealt with some big emulator lag issues. That had to call timeout to see what was going on. I got past the last strumming section and was in the easier outro when I had a miss that seems very questionable to me. Again, unfortunately, the camera doesn't catch the strum bar, but my fingering is correct and I activate star power at the same time. Maybe I missed the strum bar again, but last time I immediately realized that I had missed. I don't know. The morale got pretty low on this song and it took 33 attempts to get the FC. Naive is 886 notes of constant awkward strumming with some really difficult finger changes. There's not really a specific part I struggled on or anything that is too noteworthy on its own. This song was just a gradual grind on slowly getting my note streak higher and higher, so enjoy all my big misses and me going more and more insane. I wrote down that the outro is the hardest part. I choked a couple times right before the outro, but actually never choked during. After 48 miserable attempts, I was ecstatic to finally get it that I had to go celebrate my living room. I actually really like this song, but 48 tries is insane. And with that, we are now at the top 5 songs. Hey, remember how Taylor Swift is in this game? Her other 2 songs were done immediately, so early on I figured I could get Picture to Burn done quickly as well. But, yeah. Banjo sections always seem to get the best of me, and this song has 2 of them, sandwiching a guitar solo that is pretty tough. I could just never get all 3 on the same run. I would go into practice and perfect the solo, and then keep missing the banjo. Then I would jump into practice the banjo section and get through, and then end up missing in the solo. It just kept going back and forth. I was actually pretty close early on, but my hand failed me. And then instead of grinding to get it done, I put it on the back burner and forgot everything I had learned. I had a choke very late in the song after the 3 difficult parts, where again I cannot see what went wrong. It looks like my strumming is on time, but the game disagrees. I started to record myself with my phone to quickly see if my misses were early, late, or just bad placement or strumming. I happened to be recording on attempt number 43 when magic happened.
Yes! What? It's because I was recording. I don't even care. Let's go! No!
Next up was a song all about stamina. Take a Picture is 6 minutes long and has 1,909 notes in it. It is repetitive, and my biggest worry was just making sure I lifted my fingers on time and hit the solo green notes here. I also found that using the chord hammer-ons were very helpful, but the solo note hammer-ons were very unreliable, and I just had to strum those. After 5 minutes and 1,750 plus notes, the outro is this fast strumming portion, so there's even added pressure once I got to this point. The first time I reached this point with the streak intact, I panicked and stopped playing the last few notes in order to get ready for the strumming. It was absolutely heartbreaking. On another run, 1,250 notes in, a strum was registered as I moved up to scratch my ear quick. My spidey senses looked to me like all my fingers avoid the strum bar, but I can't do anything about that now. And then, the biggest tragedy of all happened. This is tragic. I've never felt worse. So I just FC Take a Picture, which is one I've been working on. I took 25 tries, nailed it. I was so nervous going into the last part, hit it, had a nice reaction, and of course, I apparently am not recording. That's unbelievable. I can't believe I did that. I mean, I'll maybe try and look up a couple more. There's no way to record previously, so I don't know. Maybe I'll do this again in a little bit, but the reaction isn't going to be as good, so that is unfortunate. I failed. I'm sorry. But do you really think I would leave you without the video proof? Who do you think you are? I am. Going into this, I assumed Lifeline was going to be the hardest song to complete, and it held up on its end. My first playthrough, I only hit 90% of the notes, so I had a lot of work to do. The first and biggest thing to work on was the main riff. Anchoring green was a necessity here, and I only let go when it shifted to a red bass and when there was the double orange note. This was just about finding the rhythm on the few strums. This song usually ended up hurting my hand a bit and was just a series of checkpoints for me on points I could reliably get to. The first checkpoint was getting through the first strumming verse. Then it was getting through the second strumming verse. Then it was surprisingly this super easy break in the middle that I just messed up a few times. Then it became this last little transition before the final stretch of verses and choruses. Then there were a couple misses in that last stretch before I jumped back in and finished the song on attempt 39. You Had Me was honestly one of my more annoying experiences. I don't really enjoy the song, and it is 1,054 notes of a bunch of different weird notes, and we had to play it 46 times. My notes aren't very in-depth and I don't really know how to explain the difficulties. It's another one where it just has a bunch of slightly challenging things that you just have to put together. The only standout tough part is the solo 700 notes in that I missed 3 or 4 times in.
Taking back my life, taking it back, I'm taking it back, taking back my life. Ain't nobody got no business stressing all the time. Taking it back, I'm taking it back, taking back my life. You had me, you lost me.
After finally getting through the solo, I locked in for the last 200 notes to avoid the choke and got the last song in the final tier out of the way for the main event. I thought Lifeline was going to be the hardest, but after playing I Want You to Want Me, I was genuinely not sure if I would be able to do this challenge. The first playthroughs were that rough. I started by going into practice and went one by one until I FC'd each section just for proof of concept before trying any attempts. Here is every section that could routinely pose an issue for me. The very first note. Okay, that one is not real. But the intro is actually tough. This slide transition could be tough. This hopo string. Any of the quick triplets. These quick on and off chords. This small hopo string. A non-chord version of the on-off hopos. This solo that starts with hopos and then has a bunch of mostly double strums. Super hard solo A. Right after super hard solo A. This outro section with hammer-ons thrown everywhere. And then super hard part B. Super hard solo A has these quick yellow and blues that I really needed to focus on strumming at the right time. That is followed by very quick strumming and then some trills. The strumming here feels like the fastest in the game to me, and I just treated it as triplet strums to alright success. Super hard part B isn't technically as bad, but it has a bunch of trills followed by a quick 4 and slower 2 notes, which does not feel natural at all, and is basically the end of the song, so the pressure once I was here was unbelievable. This song became a roller coaster as I would get decently far, then fall back to struggling early and so on. It never really felt like it, but in hindsight I was slowly getting better. I finally got to the outro perfect for the first time and knew I had to lock in to finish it. Or I guess I just forgot what I was doing and didn't pay attention. By the way, shout out to the best no-look clip in this video. I made it to the outro and failed a few more times, racking up attempts into the 50s. And then you can see my body language change. I was through the tough part and only 28 notes remained between me and the goal I had set out for 2 months ago. I knew there was one more hammer-on string, so the nerves were still there. Let's see what happens. Dang! 54 was the highest attempt number we reached, but we were done. All 65 songs done, and I could not be prouder of myself.
Check it off! Check it off! We're done. We're done.
This challenge is going to end up taking me about 4 months from beginning to the end of editing. My completely unorganized method helped me learn a lot about myself, and I'll be better in the future, wink wink. There were honestly days I felt horrible playing and like I was making no progress, but because I was unorganized, I had to watch basically everything back, and you could clearly see the progress I was making. It gave me good perspective and hope for the future that I can actually do things that I set my mind to, whether it just be Guitar Hero or debatedly more important things. Hey kids, write that down. That was important what I just said. I've now made a spreadsheet that will allow me to track my progress in every game, and I'm excited to see my progress there, even if that doesn't mean full game FCs. Again, due to just a few pesky songs, I can't really commit to doing any more videos like this in the future. Oh, that might be the strategy, and then I'm missing. That's not bad either. Except maybe one. So hopefully I can continue to improve, and we will see you all again with improvements on the technical side. Remember, there is a link in the description for an unlisted video with every FC fully if you want to see a specific song in all its glory. Thank you for watching, and keep doing what makes you happy.